Tim Duncan, Kawhi Leonard, Ginobili, Green, Marco Bellinelli. You know what I'm talking about. This is a team that, man, these guys 18-11 this year, Cameron. I'm a little worried. I don't know if this team can make it there. With a tough Western Conference, there's a lot of teams that are young. And I think those are the teams I'm looking at. I'm looking for OKC. I mean, I know they're 13 and 15 right now, but this is a team that's going to be coming up soon. They're going to be making it into the Western Conference sooner or later, and San Antonio's got to step up sometime soon. I'm a little worried that Tony Parker and Tim Duncan are getting to the. I mean, we say this every year that when are Tony Parker and Tim Duncan going to retire? It's got to be sooner or later, and I don't know how they're going to do in the playoffs.
I think, okay, I'll say this. If San Antonio can somehow avoid Golden State, I think they're going to the finals again because we know how good they are. They have the best system. They can plug guys in and out. They still have a great bench. They have veteran leadership, veteran toughness, and they have so many smart basketball players and the best head coach in the league right now. I just think San Antonio is still the team to beat. I don't think there's any team, and Kawhi Leonard, once he gets healthy, I think people will start to realize how great of a two-way player he is. And I think he'll be the X factor for them leading into this playoff run. And I can't see any team beating San Antonio. I think this will be the last glory run for San Antonio. They're going to win a championship, and they're going to retire. I think Duncan's going to retire, and Parker's going to retire, along with Ginobili. And this is San Antonio's run. I really do believe that. If they can avoid Golden State, they're making it to the finals.
I have to disagree with you. I don't think all of the big three will retire next year. I mean,
Okay.
I understand this is going to be a glory run. I see at least Tony Parker or Ginobili or Duncan. Two of them, I think 2 out of 3 are going to be gone. One of them's going to stay for at least another year, just to make sure they can maybe get a good system of young guys coming up. But I mean, I can't see all three leaving the same season. I'd put too much pressure on the Spurs just to find 2 new starters and then a 6-man off the bench. That's a lot to do, and I just don't see the big three doing that just yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the two most likely to leave would be Ginobili and Duncan. Duncan for sure. I think Duncan's finally gotten to that point where he's, up there in age, but I just, with San Antonio, I mean, sometimes, yeah, it's people always talk about the superstars and the players, but the system really counts and the bench really counts at the end of the day. And San Antonio has those two things. I know they've had some bad games, the triple overtime, playing inefficient, bad basketball at the end of those games, and everybody can criticize them for that. I totally agree with those people, but I think they'll get back on track. They'll get healthy, and just health is the biggest thing with San Antonio. San Antonio and Houston, health for San Antonio more than Houston. That's the biggest thing for San Antonio.
Yeah, I would say health-wise, that's been a big issue. But my final points on this team doesn't have much time. I mean, this team has one more glory run.
Yeah.
And let's see what they could do in the offseason. You never know what San Antonio could do. Because if Tim Duncan goes, Emmanuel Ginobili goes, you're going to have a lot of money open now to maybe sign a big-time guy. I think Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green are guys that are going to be stepping up soon. We just got to wait. It's a waiting game. It's patience. Once these big three are gone, you're going to see Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green really step up. I really want Thiago Splitter to become an elite center, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not in the next 2 to 3 years.
He could be, but I don't think it's going to happen this year, maybe next year. I think Kawhi Leonard's going to be that elite guy. He's going to be that elite guy who can do it on both ends of the floor. And I agree with you on the free agent part, because on the free agency aspect of this whole, big three thing moving on. Because when you have the best coach in the league, free agents want to come. And I think when you have the best coach and arguably the best general manager, R.C. Buford, people want to come. And San Antonio, even though it's a small market, people would be willing to come to win a championship there.
And they have so much success there that I wouldn't be surprised if they do. But also, a team that's had a lot of success this year, they're in the 8th spot in the Western Conference, but still, they're hanging in there just barely, is the Pelicans. Anthony Davis, unbelievable. Period. I have to say, this guy is... I think he could be... Everyone's saying he could be the next LeBron James in basketball. Is that crazy?
I think he is the next... Well, I think he's the next Tim Duncan in a way. They both, LeBron and, Davis, they kind of have different games. I think he can be the best. I agree. Or one of the best, top two with Curry and Harden and others and Leonard and Paul George. Davis is he's like a 6'10" guard that can post up. It's amazing. I don't think there's one flaw in his game, maybe besides jump shooting a little bit. That's just picking hairs. But the Pelicans, they're riding and dying with Anthony Davis, and they need everybody to step up. People got to be more consistent. I expect Drew Holiday to be more consistent, Ryan Anderson to be more consistent. They won't be able to make the playoffs unless if those guys can step up. And Anthony Davis can, have superhuman performances every single night, but if those guys don't step up, they could be out of the playoffs.
And something that's been really interesting to me is watching the Pelicans. This team really makes games close. They don't make it easy for you. Period. They'll lose really, really close games, and it's sad to watch. But you see this team, they're in it to win it every night. No doubt about it. And something that was interesting when the Kings moved Tyreek Evans was how is he going to fit in the Pelicans system? And he's a guy that's really been stepping up for the Pelicans. And this guy can make threes. He has some flaws, but I think I like Tyreek Evans as a player overall, but I thought Drew Holiday would have been better this year. At least I would have thought maybe 18 points a night. But this guy, he's been really inconsistent for me. And it's kind of sad to watch.
He's still getting back from, the injuries last year. And I think he's just trying to find his way and trying to find his identity. The big question with them is, will Drew Holiday get back on track quick enough before this team is out of the playoffs? Because if he can't get back on track and start playing the consistent Drew and start being consistent like we know Drew Holiday is typically, then it may be too late if he's not consistent. Maybe by the All-Star break. So they need to get there. He needs to be consistent and step his game up very soon before things can turn ugly in New Orleans.
This is the one worry I have with this team. I think consistency. I think this team's going to fall short of making the playoffs.
So you think Oklahoma City or Phoenix?
Yeah, Phoenix. I feel bad for Phoenix because that should be a team that makes it, and they just choke at the end. It's just sad because they're in it at that 8th spot, but Cameron, I don't see the Suns, if they even made it. I don't see them getting past the first round. OKC will make it in there. It's just a decision which team gets knocked out. And I think it's going to have to be the Pelicans because I see the rest of the teams going. I might see the Clippers maybe falling a little bit, but I think Phoenix and OKC are the two teams that can make a run into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma City, I actually don't think they're going to get past the first round, to be honest with you. I think, yeah, you have Durant and Westbrook, but they just, it bothers me when it comes to Westbrook and Durant and just how inconsistent, they can be in the playoffs. And just the style of play and the amount of injuries that both have faced. I don't think you can play the way that they play in the kind of isolation ball at the end of the game, at the end of games, and expect to win against a Golden State. I don't think you can do that.
I agree with you. I think OKC this is a team that needs to they need to get on track. I mean, you need Westbrook and Durant on the same page. And OKC is fighting their way from the bottom right now. I'm surprised that they're even doing it because it's really tough. Well, what was their record before they came back? What was it, like 7 wins?
Yeah, they were like 7 or they were, I don't know. It was something ridiculous. They were not there. They were simply not there, and they were all over the place.
But I mean, this is a team that's really good in the regular season, and it's a team that's gonna make it. I mean, they can maybe make that 6th, 7th, or 8th spot, but I see that top 5 right now in the Western Conference moving around, but they're gonna stay. There's gonna be no other teams that sneak in to that 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 spot.
Yeah, it's been unfortunate for Oklahoma City and especially the Pelicans. I mean, we don't even know if Oklahoma City is a guarantee for the 8th spot either. I mean, if Holiday is consistent before the All-Star break and they get and they have Brian Anderson, all these guys stepping up, and Tyreek, starts to play great ball, why should I believe Oklahoma City is going to make it?
Because this team has success in the regular season, period.
But yeah, they do, but this is kind of a different situation. I think Westbrook and Durant are coming off injuries. They play at a wild, frenetic, chaotic pace, and they're out of control, and they're playing against tough teams, and a lot of games will be close, and they won't be able to buy a bucket at the end because they don't move the ball enough. It becomes so stagnant, and they're just so out of control at the end of games. I mean, they're not a guarantee. I mean, it's going to be tough to make it. People think, they're just going to easily cruise to the 8th spot. No, it's going to be tough.
Well, we're going to end the show in about a minute here, so let's give our final thoughts here. As I said, top 5, it's never going to, I think it's going to change the spots, but I don't see the Clippers, San Antonio, New Orleans, Phoenix, or OKC going in that 5th spot at all. So I think that's going to be my opinion on that. 6, I think I see the Clippers making it to the playoffs. San Antonio, I see them making the playoffs. Wow. I'm going to make my prediction right now. Number 8. I'm going to say who's going to make it. It's going to be, I'm going to go with a good guess here. I'm going to say the Phoenix Suns get it done somehow.
Okay.
Get it done somehow.
I'm going to go with the Pelicans for the 8th spot.
I mean, those are 2 great picks right there.
I can't see Oklahoma City, and I know just because you have all the stars, I never believe everybody. I know people say it's a superstar-driven league, but they don't look at the circumstances sometimes. I don't think you can have 2 stars who are coming off injury, still playing out of control at times, and manage to make it. Being this kind of late in the year. I mean, it's going to be very difficult. I think New Orleans is going to shock a lot of people.
And who would have thought Sacramento would have been in the playoff chase in the very beginning of the season?
Even Sacramento, we forget about them, and even Denver. Those teams could look. If I'm looking at the standings right now, Sacramento and Denver They're only one game back from Oklahoma City. So we